hello, happy Friday. I hope you can see me okay. I don't know about this whole setup. I have a question. What book series, when you guys were younger or older, whenever you started writing books, what book series launched you into like the obsessive part of reading books? Like, what book series were you so obsessed with that you like considered writing fan fiction or started looking for fan fiction, or you were so absorbed in it that like you had dreams about the characters and you just like wished that you could be them? Because I always think that we find those books and those characters and those like kind of archetypes and themes when we most need them, and that's why we get so absorbed into them. So it's also interesting to see like how that changes as we age. For me, when I was super young, I remember a book series that I was reading that was about unicorns, but I don't remember what it was called. And it was one of those books that was like less than 100 pages. It was like the children's novels basically. And then it was the series by Anne McCaffrey, Dragon Riders of Pern. All of those books, there are tons. That's where the obsession with dragons began. And that's where an initial obsession with reading began. And then what really launched me into like obsession, like dreaming about the characters and just thinking about them all the time and being so obsessed with them, was honestly when I read the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. And I was kind of just thinking about that because I'm still reading Shadowhunters books. I'm about to finish the Last Hours series, which is Cassandra Clare's newest series. And I was just reminiscing today on the fact that like I have loved these books for so long, and all of the books in the series, I know that that was one of the series alongside a couple others that really launched me into like obsession over books and characters and stuff. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think. Anyways, it's currently Friday, August 4th. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Kayla. I'm a writer and a freelance web developer, and I am on my way to downtown to scope out a co-working space to kind of see if I like it. I'm trying to find different options for where I can work that isn't like in my home or spending money at a cafe. So I'm going to check out the co-working space, see what the options are, and kind of balance it out and see if it's more or less money to work at a co-working space or like work at cafes but buy things at cafes. So I'm currently on my way to do that, and then I'm just going to stay in Gastown for the rest of the day because I have hand balancing tonight. I've been loving my circus training. We've been having a really good time. Lots of hoop, so much so that I have a blood blister underneath my callus. I don't know if I should be worried about this. I'm sure it'll go away eventually. So yeah, I'm gonna head downtown. I'm gonna check out the co-working space. Then I'm gonna find a cafe or maybe test out the co-working space and work for a few hours. And then tonight we have hand balancing, and today is just a vlog. That's what I have for you. Saturday, I got a bit of work on my poetry collection done yesterday, which was great. I kind of did some planning. I collected all of the poems that I currently have. Unfortunately, I missed probably like 10 or so, possibly more than that actually, because I have like a notebook that I've had since the beginning of university, and there are a lot of poems in there that I was going to use as well, and I didn't bring it with me yesterday, so I did not remember which poems were there. So I don't know, I would guess that right now I have around 40 poems, which is not enough. I want it to be minimum 50, but probably closer to 75. I have like ideas for probably about 20 or so poems, because sometimes I'll write down like the notes app in my phone if I have an idea for a poem or like a theme that I want to cover, or even like a single line that I think is going to like create the entire poem. I will start with that and I'll write that down in my notes, and then that is what the poem will grow from. So I have probably like 20 or so prompts almost that are the beginning of a poem or the idea of a poem, and I just haven't actually written the poem yet. So I want to do a bit of that today, and then I am also going to pull up the carpet in my bedroom and kind of see what's underneath it. I don't know yet how, like, what condition the floor is in underneath. I know there's hardwood floor because I've pulled up a part, like a big corner of the carpet, and I know there's hardwood under there. The carpet is in rough shape, just like in general, a pretty rough looking carpet. I think it's very old. And I finished all my work during the week for once, which means that I have the whole weekend to do a little bit of renovation. I don't know, we're gonna pull up half the carpet, see what's under there. If it looks like it'll be good, then I'll pull it the rest of the way up. And I'm gonna do writing this weekend. I want to write a few poems tonight. I was gonna sit down, have a glass of wine, and kind of get into the poetry zone, which for me usually means lighting a candle, taking out my notebook, putting on some like piano music or emotional music, and then kind of just like seeing what flows. I'm gonna do that tonight. I'm gonna write at some point today. I want to do an hour of writing today, so I'm gonna see where I can fit that hour. It might be 3 20-minute sprints, we'll see. I'm also gonna do some garden work this weekend because the garden is coming along really well. I'll show you if I remember to. We have lots of vegetables ready to go and I'm so excited, but it does need some TLC. And these are like the little things that make me happy. I'm gonna clean, I'm gonna do a little bit of renovation. I love changing around like house things. If I had money and more free time, I would totally like restore old houses and stuff. That sounds really fun. So yeah, gardening, housework, and lots of writing this weekend. That's the goal. I totally forgot that I was recording. Anyways, I made some lemonade. Almost there. So the plan, I've got this cleared now. I've taken out the vent. There's nothing else really that should cause an issue. So yeah, pretty much half the room is cleared. So I'm gonna move the wires and stuff, and then I'm gonna pull up half of the carpet and see what it looks like.
sugar blue waters and your big strong hands, crying out like a baby. Once I knew I was asleep, hoping that just maybe it was real this time. A little rain begins to fall down, wash it away and see what stays around. And round we go now. I lay my eyes that you live by my side. Radio loud, yeah, we get wet with the top down, but I don't care as long as I got you right here with me. I don't always believe in miracles, but I always wish on a shooting star.
Good morning. It is currently Tuesday, August 8th. I want to say it's the 8th. I feel like it's the 8th. I did probably about half an hour or so of writing last night, and I've been feeling like I have a little bit of writer's block almost when it comes to this draft. Draft 3 of Between the Waves has really just been I'm really fighting for it. And last night when I was working on it, I was trying to kind of like work through why I thought I was getting writer's block and why I thought that issue was kind of popping up. So I pretty much sat down and started writing in the figuring shit out document. I kind of just started to do some reflecting on why I thought I was getting writer's block in this particular situation, because generally I don't really get writer's block in the usual sense of the word, I guess, or I don't really know what the usual sense of the word is supposed to be, but usually when I think of writer's block, I think of it like when people don't have ideas and they just don't know what to write next, and they can't come up with anything that they're happy with. And I feel like a big problem that I have is that I can come up with so many things that I'm happy with and that I'm excited about, and so many ideas that I think could potentially be good ideas. So the blocks that I have are never because of something like that. But what I realized last night was that the writing block that I've been running into with this draft more so has to do with like a perfectionist mindset. And the reason that I'm struggling so much with this draft, which I discovered as I was kind of like reflecting in my figuring shit out document, the problem is that with each of these drafts, I've shifted the plot so much. The plot of draft 1 is not the same as the plot of draft 2, and the plot of draft 2 is not the same as draft 3. And it's not like there have been minor or even kind of like medium shifts in the plot. It's like I've nearly rewritten the entire thing multiple times now. And when I was thinking about it last night, I realized that I think it's because I want this book to be the best it can possibly be. So I realized that the reason I'm having a problem right now is because I want this book to be as good as it possibly can. I want it to be the best that it can possibly be. And in my mind, that means it has to be perfect. Like, it has to be the perfect plot. Everything has to perfectly make sense and tie in together and have good like plot twists and super strong character arcs and a really wonderful flow and pacing. And I'm putting this expectation on myself right now that it needs to be like that right now, and that in the future it needs to be like that. And I feel like when I realized that last night, I also realized that I need to try and start reminding myself again that this is the first novel that I'm ever going to release. It's not going to be perfect. In fact, other novels that people have released when they've been writing for years and years and they've released 10 novels already, even those novels are not perfect. Perfect is an impossible standard to hold yourself to because you're actually never going to achieve that. And it's just so much more productive for me right now to put the energy into reminding myself that perfect doesn't exist, than it is for me to put energy into trying to get to perfect. And I can still make a story or a piece of art or a creative project or whatever it is as good as I possibly can and bring it to a point where I'm really happy with it and I think it tells the message that I want it to tell without considering it perfect. Like, I can still achieve those things and never hit the goal of being perfect, which is why it's just a silly goal to aim for in the first place. So yeah, I don't know if that resonates with anyone, but if it did, I hope that that was something you needed to hear. But while I was also trying to work through my writer's block last night and realizing all of these things, I also realized that, I don't know, sometimes it's just a nice reminder when things like that happen that sometimes writer's block is not about the ideas that you're having, or rather not having. And it's not about not being a good writer. It's not about not being creative. Sometimes writer's block literally comes from a place of low self-esteem or a trying to achieve perfection or something that's a bit more internal and a bit more like mental for you as the creator. So sometimes writer's block isn't about just cycling through ideas as quickly as possible and trying to get as many ideas out as possible. Sometimes it's about doing reflection and coming to a place of self-awareness where you realize that you're blocking yourself for one reason or another. Maybe it's because you just don't feel like your story is good enough, or you don't feel like your characters are good enough, or you have this preconceived notion of how a story needs to be set up and how it needs to be told. And sometimes we have like self-limiting beliefs and a lack of self-confidence in our creative process. And sometimes that, I feel like often that's where my writer's block comes from. And it has nothing to do with the actual story itself, but it more so has to do with how I'm perceiving the story and how I think it needs to be written. So if you're ever running into writer's block, that's also something good to consider, is why you've run into writer's block and whether it has to do with the actual structure of the story or if it just has to do with you and how you're coming at the story. Anyways, I'm gonna end this vlog here because I think I might start another one and I need to get this one up, but I hope that you all enjoyed listening to me ramble and watching me try to renovate my room. I'm tired, but thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smile and I will see you in the next video. Bye.